I appreciate it, Mr. President and Madam Vice President. Let me just pick up on the spirit of your comments, but first with just deep gratitude to both of you for being so solicitous, so supportive, hand in glove in this operation. There's simply not an ask that hasn't been met. The major disaster declaration from Mr. President was a game changer. In fact, you were able to do that within 36 hours. I don't know if there's another precedent in American history for disaster that was in the making, was unfolding, and for you to be there in real time and prescient as well. And it turns out that we're going to need all of that support. And the fact that you were able to provide 100% is just tremendous relief on the FBAG side and other disaster relief side. And I think the big focus now, to your point, and appreciate the recognition of some progress last night. The winds were favorable. We were able to address some of the perimeter issues. Again, it's been focused about life, property, and perimeter. But the perimeter progress was real because we were able to get fixed wing and helicopters up last night. We had a new fire start, 5 fires that we're actively battling as we speak. The 2 large ones you've highlighted, the 8% and 3% contained. But we're able to, these guys did an amazing job. We had this fire, Kenneth Fire, that could have been one of the bigger headlines today. And these guys were able to knock that down. It was heroic. I flew around it, see the dozers, the hand crews, our rattlesnake crews in the National Guard, the mutual aid system. Mr. President, 175 engines from across this country, from New Mexico and Oregon and Washington State, Utah, Idaho. Men and women coming out here regardless of their differences, in the spirit of what the Vice President said, working together in the spirit that defines the best of all of us. And so just with deep gratitude to you, your team. We had the National Guard out last night. We had 43 key posts that they were working, 855 National Guard men and women. We're stationing additional National Guard men and women to the extent we need it. We've surged all the assets. We drew down from all over the state and obviously now increasingly across the country. I want to also highlight, because I think it's incredibly important, we have 150,000 people still under mandatory evacuation orders. These fires are not out, though today we're going to make a lot of progress and continue to increase these containment numbers. But it is important, and I cannot impress upon you more how happy I was here. Mr. President, you say disasterassistance.gov. People are now naturally calling. There's tremendous anxiety out there around getting immediate assistance. The reality of this is starting to come. The clarity as the smoke begins to move and daylight, people are starting to understand the magnitude. I thought I never would see anything like the Tubbs fire, then the Camp Fire. This is up there. This will be one of the most destructive fires. I mean, some property damage, perhaps in the history of the country, but certainly in terms of scale and scope, 10,000+ structures already identified, 10 people we fear have lost their lives, likelihood of more. The magnitude of this is pretty profound. And in closing, I appreciate, Madam Vice President, you bringing up Altadena as well. I was there yesterday, saw middle school. It's a beautiful middle school burning down. Lifestyles, places, tradition, kids, families, memories, communities completely torn asunder. It's not just a home. It's their lives and their livelihoods. These businesses, community centers. Can't tell you how many churches burned down. And so we had these hurricane force winds, the likes of which we've never imagined in our lifetime. 99+ mile-an-hour gusts. There was no helicopters that can go up in those gusts and those wind shears. But we had thousands and thousands of men and women that did everything in their power to hold the line. And so hats off to the first responders. And in closing, hats off to those neighbors that are stepping up, these self-organizing communities that are coming together in the spirit of what makes us great. The spirit of neighbor to neighbor, to being there for each other. And final words, I ask you, we've got to deal with this misinformation. There were hurricane force winds of mis and disinformation, lies. People want to divide this country, and we're going to have to address that as well. And it breaks my heart as people are suffering and struggling that we're up against those hurricane force forces as well. And that's just a point of personal privilege that I share that with you because it infects real people that are out there, people I meet every single day, people the mayor's been meeting with, and they're having conversations that are not the typical conversations you'd have at this time, and you wonder where this stuff comes from. And it's very damaging as well. But we're here to get the job done, to be here for folks, to focus, yes, on this mitigation, and then absolutely recovery in record time with your support. We're going to be able to do that with FEMA's support. We're going to get people back on their feet. We're going to rebuild this remarkable community, and we're going to come back. I know it's rote and cliche. It's just a fact. We're going to come back stronger because we're all in this together. And we're in this together because we have a leader in the Oval Office right now, Mr. President, Joe Biden, an American president, being there for the American people at a time of critical need. And I cannot impress upon you personally, on behalf of 40 million Americans that live in the great state of California, how proud we are of you, the Vice President, and your leadership.
Well, Gov, thank you. You know, that's why I think it's so important. We speak plainly to the American people and let them know what we can and can't do. For example,